Hello there, and welcome to yet another edition of our insightful and exciting program titled Aligning Education Reforms with National Development. This is Amogate Radio Communication, and my name is Daniel Adebi, and I'm your host right here on the program. And I'm super delighted to have you join us even as we move further into this important conversation about the future of education and its vital connection to the growth and prosperity of nations. So we have been looking at educational reforms and how nations can align educational reforms with national development goals. And over the past 3 weeks, we have been exploring various aspects and various dimensions of this focus. And this is week 4. And once again, I'm very glad to have you on this program. So before we dive into the business of today, I would like for us to do a brief recap and let us briefly go through the major highlights of last week's edition. So last week we looked at a topic which was policy reforms, reshaping educational frameworks for a competitive economy. And we discussed what policy reforms really mean and why they are crucial and important to transforming education systems and how they can also be strategically aligned with national development goals. So specifically last week, we explored the definition and relevance of policy reforms in today's global context. We also went further to look at how education policy reforms serve as a tool for national development, not just national development, but also economic growth and also sustainable development. We also looked at the importance of aligning education systems with the demands of a rapidly changing global labor market. We went further to look at some key components of effective education reforms, such as curriculum modernization. We looked at teacher training, equity and access, data-driven policy making, public-private partnerships, and technological integration. We also went further to look at some global case studies from countries like Sweden, China, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and also Brazil. And we were basically also highlighting practical examples of how policy reforms have shaped competitive and inclusive educational systems. So finally, last week, we ended the edition by looking at some of the key components of effective educational policy reforms. We looked at curriculum modernization and skill alignment, teacher training and professional development, leveraging technology for access and quality, advancing equity and inclusive education, institutionalizing data-driven decision-making, fostering lifelong learning and workforce readiness, and finally, we looked at promoting public-private partnerships and stakeholder engagement. And it is on this note that we'll be making further progress on today's edition. We'll be exploring another topic which we basically used to conclude last week. And the topic is public-private partnership in education, a game changer for sustainable development. I'll take it again. Public-private partnership in education, a game changer for sustainable development. So on the program today, we will be discussing what public-private partnership in education truly entails. We'll look at its transformative potential and how it can be strategically leveraged to drive national development goals. So we'll also be examining and looking at the definition and global relevance of public-private partnership in education today, especially in today's development landscape, today's ever-changing landscape. We'll also be looking at how public-private partnerships can drive educational transformation, drive equity and also quality, and also how we could also make education systems more resilient and more future ready. We'll also be looking at the critical role of public-private partnership in adopting and aligning educational delivery with national development goals. We're looking at areas such as economic growth, human capital development, digital innovative, and rural development. Furthermore, we'll also be looking at key strategies for designing and implementing effective and sustainable public-private partnerships. We're looking at issues like regulatory frameworks, stakeholder engagement, financing models, institutional capacity building, and impact monitoring. And finally, which is very, very important. We would also be taking some case studies and models from countries around the world, looking at countries in Asia, countries in Europe, in Latin America, and also in Africa, basically to give us, examples, not just examples, but also successful examples of areas and instances where these partnerships were successful, and also how this partnership translated to measurable impact on the educational system and how it also had developmental outcomes on the economy and in fostering the achievement of their national development goals. So as a way of introduction, we are in an era or in a dispensation where knowledge-based economies dictate national progress. So it is very, very imperative to align educational reforms with national development goals, because we are basically in an era and a dispensation where knowledge-based economies dictate national progress. So public-private partnership in education has also emerged as a transformative tool and also a transformative mechanism to bridge gaps in access, bridge gaps in quality, and also relevance of educational systems worldwide. So by leveraging the strength of both public and private sectors, these partnerships offer innovative solutions to long-standing educational challenges, and it also fosters sustainable development and economic growth. So I want to begin by sharing a quote, and that quote goes like this. It says that when public vision meets private innovation in education, nations unlock the true potential of their people. I'll take it again. When public vision meets private innovation in education, nations unlock the true potential of their people, and this fuels and sponsors sustainable development for generations. So quickly, let us understand the basic concept. Let us understand what public-private partnership in education entails. So public-private partnership in education, we are talking about collaborative arrangements between government entities and also private sector organizations. And these partnerships are aimed basically at delivering educational services, at providing educational infrastructure, and setting up educational programs that will help to enhance the qualitative delivery or the qualitative output of education, basically, and also this to strengthen the quality of education within a nation, basically. So these partnerships can take various forms. So it can include infrastructure development, curriculum design. We also look at teacher training. It can also come in form of teacher training, and can also come in form of provision of educational technology. So these partnerships, take various forms. So it takes these various forms, and these various forms are aimed at ensuring qualitative education within the country. And as we all know, like we stated in the introduction, qualitative education would translate to qualitative economies, basically, because like we mentioned in the introduction, that we are in a dispensation where education is actually the bedrock for every other successful outcome in every other sector of the economy. So education is the bedrock. So what is the relevance of public-private partnerships in education today? So when we look at the global push towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly when we look at this SDG 4, SDG 4 talks about ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education, and also promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. Right, so this is actually the SDG 4 Sustainable Development Goal 4. When we look at the global push for this, we find out that public-private partnerships in education has been instrumental, in over the years, in nations, especially in their bid to achieve these goals. As very, very instrumental, very, very useful in achieving these goals. Public and private partnerships ensures efficient resource allocation. It also helps to introduce innovation within the educational sector. It also helps to enhance efficiency in education delivery. education delivery, efficiency in educational delivery, and also it helps to align educational outcomes with national development goals, and that makes it very, very important and very, very relevant in today's world. There must be a balance and an effective synergy between the public sector and the private sector, the private stakeholders and public sector entities. They must come together to ensure that there's efficiency in educational delivery, innovations are introduced within the educational system, resource allocation is available, resources that are well allocated for projects and also to sustain the educational sector, and also to ensure that there is an alignment with educational outcomes with national development objectives. So quickly, as we move further, let us look at the role of public-private partnerships in advancing sustainable development. I'll be looking at 5 roles of public-private partnerships, and I'll also be giving some case studies around the world to support these rules. So the first rule is that public-private partnerships helps to enhance educational access and equity. Public-private partnerships have significantly contributed to expanding educational access, especially in regions where there are poor, education, and where regions that are underserved with educational services. Basically, for example, let's take a country in Africa called Uganda. In Uganda, there's a program in Uganda. It is called the Universal Secondary Education Program. And this program it's actually a program that is birthed from a partnership between the public and private sector. It's actually a public-private partnership birthed program. And the essence, one of the major things this program seeks to achieve is that they help to provide subsidies to private schools. They help to subsidize private schools, subsidize their cost, subsidize the cost of school fees, and this has massively encouraged the massive enrollment of students in school. Students now have access to subsidized school fees, and even private schools now have access to subsidized resources, subsidized equipment, and subsidized infrastructure, basically. And this has encouraged the enrollment of over 800,000 students between 2007 and 2014. So within the space of 2007 and 2014, this partnership has made it possible. It has provided a system in place that has encouraged students to take advantage of this subsidy, and also for private schools to also take advantage of this subsidy and also provide quality educational service. So this happened in Uganda, and it's resulted in the enrollment of over 800,000 students, almost 900,000 students within the space of 7 years. And also another rule of public-private partnership in advancing sustainable development is the improving of the quality of education, Public-private partnership should be, geared and should have a goal of improving the quality of education. Quality enhancement is a critical aspect of public partnership. So let's take another example. In Kenya, there's also a program in Kenya. It is called the TUSOM Early Grade Reading Program, and this program is a collaboration between the Kenyan government and the United States Agency for International Development, and also a collaboration with the RTI International. So these 3 entities come together. It's a mix of a public and private sector partnership. They come together to help improve the literacy outcomes of children in grade 1 and grade 2. So their coming together is to ensure that there's an improvement in the literacy outcomes for children in grade 1 and grade 2. Now, how did they achieve this? How did they make this possible? They made this possible by providing resources like textbook, resources like teacher training. Teachers are also trained, and also by also carrying out regular assessments of the educational sector, and also a regular assessment of teachers and the like. So improving the quality of education is a very critical aspect to public and private partnership. In fact, if the partnership is not achieving qualitative improvement of the education, then it is not that partnership is baseless, is not worthy. So number 3 role of public-private partnership in advancing sustainable development is infrastructure development. So public-private partnerships helps to facilitate the development of educational infrastructure, basically facilitating the provision of infrastructure and also making there to be a conducive environment for students to learn, and ensuring that the necessary infrastructure, the necessary structures needed to facilitate qualitative education is made available. So when we look at another country, for example, to also support this, we look at Belgium. There's a project ongoing in Belgium, and it's called the Schools of Tomorrow project. The Schools of Tomorrow project, and it is a 1.5 billion euro initiative. A 1.5 billion euro initiative. And what is this project designed to accomplish? It's actually a partnership between private partners in the construction industry, private partners in the construction industry, and also the government of Belgium. So construction companies are partnering with the company to build modern school building, in construction of modern school building, and also maintaining these buildings in order for there to be a conducive learning environment for students. So we can see this beautiful example: construction companies coming together in Belgium to partner with the government to construct and also maintain buildings, to maintain modern school buildings, that will help to enhance the learning environment for students. Another example or another role of public-private partnership in advancing sustainable development is the integration of technology. In fact, one of the things that the private sector brings to the table is actually innovation or technology. So incorporating technology into education is very vital for preparing students for the digital economy, and this plays out very well. We have a very beautiful example in Myanmar. Myanmar is a country in Asia. In Myanmar, there's a program called the Connect to Learn program. It's called Myanmar's Connect to Learn program, and it is basically a partnership, that involves Ericsson, that involves Qualcomm, and also the government of Myanmar, and also the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which is UNESCO. So we have a partnership or a collaboration between Ericsson, Qualcomm, the government of Myanmar, and also UNESCO. And what are they doing? Basically, what they are doing is basically introducing tablets and modern technology in classroom. And they're introducing tablets and modern technology in classrooms. So far so good. They've been able to achieve this project in over 31 schools, about 31 schools. And what has this achieved? Basically, they've been able to enhance the interactive learning and also bridging the technological divide in the educational system. So students now have access to digital learning, interactive learning, and the gap between the gap between the educational system and technological advancement or digital learning has been breached, basically. So you can see how innovation, integration of technology is actually a fruit, or it's a benefit of public and private partnerships. You see technologies, you see beautiful things happening in schools. So the final role of public-private partnerships in advancing sustainable development is crisis response and continuity. Example, in countries where there's war, or where there are conflict or there's crisis, the educational system is down, structures are being brought down, things are dilapidated, it's actually a time of crisis. But after the crisis, or even during the crisis, the government still wants to continue education, or some private sector individuals come together to ensure the continuity of the educational system. So public-private partnerships play a crucial role in ensuring educational continuity despite crisis, or even during crisis, after crisis. So despite the crisis or despite the war, there must be educational continuity. So this is one of the things that public-private partnerships help to accomplish, and it was accomplished in a country called Ukraine, which you all know, the war between Ukraine and Russia. So in that time of crisis, a partnership had to be forged, a partnership between the government of Ukraine and also private entities like KPMG. KPMG also came together, and partnered with the Ukrainian government to provide educational resources and support. They also help to maintain learning opportunities for students. So even in the midst of crisis, KPMG came in and partnered with the government to provide educational resources and support, and also ensure that learning opportunities are still available and maintained for students. So we've looked at the role of public-private partnership in advancing sustainable development. I'll just go through them once again. Number one, enhancing educational access and equity. Number two, improving the quality of education. Number three, infrastructure development. Number four, integration of technology. And number five, crisis response and continuity. All right now we would go further to look at some global case studies of successful public-private partnerships in education. So we'll be highlighting some examples from around the world, looking at examples from Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America. So quickly, let's look at Kenya. So in Kenya, there's an organization called Bridge International Academies. And in Kenya, we can see a partnership between Bridge International Academics in partnership with the Kenyan government. And the goal of this partnership is to provide affordable, high-quality education to low-income families. And they achieve this through a network of schools utilizing standardized curriculum and digital technology. So they are basically providing affordable, not just affordable, but also high-quality education to low-income families. So this is a product of the partnership between Kenyan government and Bridge International Academies. And also in Uganda, we can also see another program called Promoting Equality in African Schools. So Promoting Equality in African Schools is a program that is run in Uganda, and currently it operates in about 28 schools across Uganda. So what are they doing? They are basically offering quality secondary education to disadvantaged students or disadvantaged children from rural areas. From rural and poorer, household, rural areas and poorer households. So with the partnership between Promoting Equality in Africa school program and also Ugandan government, they've been able to offer free education and also quality education to disadvantaged students from rural area or poor households. In Tanzania, especially in the Kilimanjaro region, we also see another public-private partnership. There is a public partnership that has enhanced primary education by improving infrastructure in the Kilimanjaro region, including increasing pupil attendance in schools, and also boosting the academic performance. So in Asia, we can look at a country called Pakistan. In Pakistan, we have a network. It's called the Progressive Education Network, right? The Progressive Education Network was adopted, by public-private partnership. So the network, in partnership with the Pakistan government, they came together to improve infrastructure. So the Progressive Education Network helps to improve infrastructure in schools. They help to conduct teacher training. They also help to come up with programs or trainings that would help to enhance student performance. And by 2016, they had adopted 89 schools. They had adopted 89 schools in Pakistan. They had adopted 89 schools to provide infrastructure, teacher training, and also improving the quality of education in those schools. And also in South Korea, we can see a beautiful collaboration, that birthed a program called the H-Jump School Program. The H-Jump School Program is the result of a partnership that involves non-governmental organizations, the government, the South Korean government, and also an automobile company called Hyundai. So Hyundai and other non-governmental organizations, they came together and partnered with the South Korean government to provide low educational service, to provide qualitative and affordable education to low-income South Korean children. And they also help to also establish local learning centers that provide qualitative education in various areas of South Korea, basically. So that's the effect of the H-Jump school program. And when we move to Europe, we can also see another initiative in Ireland. That initiative is a program called the Irish Pilot School Program. And the Irish Pilot School Program is a public-private partnership initiative that is designed to construct schools. And over the time of their existence, they've been able to construct 5 schools. And they constructed that 5 school, and it's operational using a template or a design called, it's actually a program. The program is called Design, Build, Finance, and Maintain Schools. So it's basically the system. So it's a system of designing schools, building schools, financing schools, and maintaining schools. And they've been able to do this over the last 25 years. And the project they've embarked upon has costed a total of over 63 million euros. So the Irish Pilot School Program, constructed schools across Ireland, and they've been able to maintain, build, construct, and also finance schools across Ireland. And their project has cost a total of 63 million euros. And in Ukraine, especially in times, for example, in Ukraine, especially in the time of crisis, public-private partnerships has helped to bridge the gaps in the educational continuity. Like I mentioned, there's a collaboration between the private sector, the public-private sector, which is, which a major player that has been partnered with them has been KPMG, and KPMG has been collaborating with the public sector to have sustained learning even in the midst of emergencies. And finally, in Latin America, we can see a country called Colombia. In Colombia, especially in a region called Bogota. In Bogota, there's a program going on there. It's called the School Concession Program. And with that program, they've been able to establish 25 concession schools for over 40,000 students. And this was made possible between 1999 and 2003. So within 1999 and 2003, they've been able to establish 25 concession schools and enrolled 40,000 students into schools. And what are they basically doing? They're basically providing educational services for underprivileged students, educating underprivileged students, and community that don't have much access to educational services. So this has been achieved in Colombia. So from all these examples in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Pakistan, South Korea, Ireland, Ukraine, Colombia, and many other countries, which time would fail us to give examples of various partnerships, co-programs, partnership between the private and public sector, all these programs that are ongoing, that is massively transforming the educational sector within those countries. So these are proofs of the fact that public and private partnership, according to what our topic says, is a game changer, is a massive game changer for sustainable development in the educational sector. So quickly, let us move further and look at another aspect of today's topic, and it is basically aligning public-private partnership with national development goals. So how can we align public-private partnerships with national development goals? So all these partnerships are not, they have to be tailored, they have to be aligned to, they have to be operational, towards the end of ensuring that, national development goals are achieved. They are existing basically to facilitate our national development goal, thereby we must ensure that there has to be an alignment between the public-private sector partnerships and national development goals. So number one ways they can align is by public partnership, public-private partnership in education contributes significantly to national development by human capital development. So number one way is human capital development, enhancing skills, because human capital development would directly and massively translate to the development of any economy, because the human resource is the driving is actually the human capital within the economy that drives the economy, that determines whether there will be progress, or determine whether the economy would improve or become better. So the human capital development is very, very important. So as long as there's public-private partnership, this partnership must be geared or aligned towards ensuring that there's an enhancement of skills and competencies. People are learning, people are becoming better, because enhancing skills and competencies, they are necessary and essential for economic growth. So we have to have people that are well skilled, people that are well informed, people that are well empowered, to contribute positively, contribute their own quota as responsible citizens within the nation or within the economy. And also, public-private partnerships must also help to reduce inequality. Public-private partnership must help to provide equitable access to quality education, especially for marginalized population, people that are from that are poor, or even marginalized population like the disabled, or even the female gender. There are some areas where the female gender are marginalized. So public-private partnership must be geared towards ensuring there is a reduction in inequality, right? Inequality. There must be equitable access to quality education, especially for marginalized populations. And also, public-private partnership must promote innovation. So there must be an integration of technology and modern teaching methods to promote and improve learning outcomes, to promote a better educational system, and also to improve learning outcome, basically. So innovation must be promoted, innovation must be encouraged, and public-private partnership has to help to ensure and encourage innovation. And number 4 is economic growth. We've talked about human capital development, and it helps to ensure economic growth. So there is need, once again, to reiterate the fact that there is a skilled workforce that can only meet the demands of the labor market, especially a changing labor market, a labor market with new demands and new requirements, basically. So it is actually a skilled workforce. So there must be a system within the educational system. We must ensure that people are skilling and upskilling and becoming better. They are becoming relevant and are possessing relevant qualifications that will meet the demands and requirements of the labor market. So economic growth is very, very important, and thereby there is need for there to be a system that will help to ensure the creation of a skilled workforce that will meet the demand of the labor market, and that will also attract investments and also foster entrepreneurship. Very, very important. So finally, I will look at some strategies for public-private partnership implementation. What are some of the strategies to ensure effective public-private partnership implementation? So in order to maximize the public-private partnerships in education, I'll share some strategies which I'll just go through quickly, some strategies that are essential to ensure effective public-private partnership. Number 1, there must be transparency, and there must be competitive business. Transparency to ensure that there is no form of I prefer this, I prefer that. No, it's based on transparency. The government has to be transparent, in choosing people it wants to work with, So it is very important to ensure fairness and accountability in the partner selection process. So if there is a bid, the bid must be competitive. It does not be one-sided. It must not favor this and disfavor that. No, it must be competitive. And every person that is coming in as a partner must show that they have what it takes to effectively partner with the government. And number 2, there has to be a clear regulatory framework. So it's very, very important that policies have to be established. Policies that will guide these partnerships, and also the rules have to also be clearly stated. in the partnership. This is what the government is bringing to the table, and this is what the private sector is bringing to the table. So there must be clear definition of roles, clear definition of responsibilities, and also expectations of all stakeholders. Even as there's a partnership, the private stakeholders must state their expectation from the public stakeholders. The public stakeholders must also state their expectation from the private stakeholders, or the private and public sector, basically. So expectations has to be clearly stated. Number 4, performance monitoring. So even as partner and programs are being birthed from this partnership, programs and projects being birthed from this partnership, there is need for there to be effective performance monitoring, so as to ensure that standards for performance are upheld and expectations are met. Right, so implementing robust evaluation mechanism to assess the outcomes of the various projects or various programs that we birthed from this partnership is very, very important. It's very, very important. It's also very, very important. These evaluations would also help both parties to come up with informed decisions and also make improvements where necessary, and also for them to re-strategize and come up with better concepts. So number 5 is capacity building. Capacity building is also very, very important. There must be an investment program, investment in training, and also developing educators, and also even administrators. So people within, people that are driving this partnership, there must be a training. There must be constant training and development for these people. And the aim of all this training is to ensure effective service delivery and to also enhance service delivery. So these are 5 strategies that would help to effectively to ensure effective public-private partnership implementation. So in conclusion, public-private partnership in education stands as a testament to the power of collaboration in addressing complex societal challenges. So by aligning the strength of both sectors, this partnership have the potential to revolutionize educational systems, thereby making them more inclusive, more equitable, and more responsive to the needs of our 21st century. So as nations strive to achieve sustainable development, embracing public-private partnership in education is not just beneficial, it is imperative. It is very, very necessary. So I'll leave us with a quote, finally, a quote by a man called Henry Ford. Henry Ford says that coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. So it is on this note we bring today's edition of our program, Aligning Education Reforms with National Development Goals. We're bringing our program to the end, and thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for listening. You can do well to send your questions. We're looking forward to receiving your feedback. You can reach out to us via all our social media platforms on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Our handle is at Amogate. And if you want to learn more about Amogate, you can look up our website, which is theamogate.org, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you and receiving your questions and your feedback. So please do well to join us, same time, same platform, next week, Wednesday. I'm looking forward to having you once again by then. All right, thank you so much for joining, and do have a beautiful day ahead. It's bye for now.